What awaits us in this 45 minutes available? So I've prepared, of course, a little agenda. I will introduce myself really quickly so you do know who's talking to you today. Afterwards, we will do some foundational stuff about the basics of prompting before diving into the magic formula itself, where I will explain it to you in theory, but also have prepared some hands-on examples, of course, which you can also try it out live. So if you have PowerPoint, Word, or Outlook open, I believe are my examples, you can try out the prompts directly. And of course, at the end, I've got some insider tips for you as well. So, quick few words about myself. My name is Fabio Bonolo. I'm from Switzerland, originally Italian. I am working as a head of modern work at Techtask Consulting. So I do everything related to Microsoft 365, about Copilot, of course. And I come from the business corner, so not from the technical corner. So here I am. I do a lot of project management, change management, and consulting, have several certifications. And I am, since July this year, Microsoft MVP in M365 Copilot. I do have my own blog. It is in German. So for you who don't speak German, maybe it isn't so interesting, but for you who are here in this session who do speak German, maybe my blog here on my website, fabiobonolo.com, could be interesting. Everything around Copilot and AI. And I'm also currently studying for a master's degree in business and IT consulting. Now, enough about me. Let's dive into the topic. First of all, let's look at some basics of prompting. Now, what should we know when we talk about prompting? Prompting so far in explanation marks are a keyword search without whole sentences. So everybody knows the word Googling. So we are used to search and type in keywords. And when we are talking about prompting, it means that we should go back to writing whole sentences, so back to school. And maybe for some of you who are working more than 20 years in the IT industry, the word prompting comes from something that is called Windows DOS. So a very ancient technology where prompting was already there, but it is many, many years ago. And what we also should know is that a good prompt is more than just a short instruction. So everybody knows about those marketing videos from Microsoft where they put in one sentence and it comes a result that is wow and really great. So that's not the case in real life. So a good prompt, I usually say, contains 2 to 3 whole English or German or whatever language you are prompting in sentences. That's something really, really important to understand. Because what I always also say is that the output of Copilot, so the response Copilot generates, is just as good as the input. So I will today talk also about the comparison from Copilot and ChatGPT, where many customers of mine, maybe also yourself, are saying that the responses of ChatGPT are better than Copilot. This has a reason, and this is something that you should be aware of. And the fourth thing that is good to know is that Copilot cannot read minds and cannot form his own opinion. So it is really, really important for Copilot to understand the context. You are asking him about your issue that you have or the response that you want to generate, because he doesn't know if you are working for a customer, if you are doing this private, if you are doing it for schoolwork, for example. So he can't get into your mind. And that's why it's so important in your prompt to give Copilot as much context as you can. Now, I talked about this in the beginning, right? So keywords, we are uh, we are used to using keywords, and that means that our writing habits must change. Everybody knows this interface, right? So we put in google.com, I'm Googling something, and I put in keywords or even just one word. And this doesn't work with a Copilot. And what's also really important, and what I see in the business context a lot, are acronyms. So, for example, FYI, for your information, ASAP, right? You all use those acronyms, of course. Everybody uses this. And it isn't so that Copilot doesn't understand the acronyms, but it is better not to use acronyms in context of prompting. And here's this important message, and here I want to close the circle about comparing Copilot, so the Microsoft 365 Copilot, with ChatGPT, because the responses of Copilot are just as good as our own prompts. Why is that? As you know, Copilot or the M365 Copilot that you license for $30 a user a month, it comes with all those data privacy security configurations standardized and out of the box, whereas ChatGPT is, I say, much more lighter configured without all those privacy settings. So it is for ChatGPT easier for the reasoning for ChatGPT is easier when putting in a prompt. And therefore, the Microsoft 365 Copilot needs a better, more detailed prompt to generate a good quality response. And that's why this is so important to understand that the responses of Copilot um, have a direct impact from your prompt that you put in. And that's the reason why, because of all the data security, privacy, governance topics that are included in Microsoft 365. Now, enough about fundamental stuff. Let's dive into the magic formula. That's why we're here today, right? So, first of all, I'd like to do some sort of theory so that you can understand what's behind this formula. Don't worry, I won't come with some mathematical stuff, even if it's called formula. So, the magic formula, when I talk about that, it's about structuring a prompt. You can orient yourself to the on this formula when you are structuring your prompts. And how we do the structuring. The first part of the formula is the goal. So the prompt needs some sort of goal. And what do I mean by that? So here you ask yourself the question here on top, what should Copilot do? This is the first question that you ask yourself when you write in a prompt. So the task here is that you should describe the task that Copilot should perform. And how do you do it? You do it in a perfect world using verbs in the beginning of the sentence. And when we are talking verbs, it is like check on something, transform a text, for example, convert, adapt, summarize, generate, optimize, review, I don't know, some sort of email, suggest something, compare, explain, analyze. So these are examples of verbs of the task that Copilot should do. This is the first thing that you write in a prompt. The second one is the specification. So here the goal is to specify the goal. And here you ask yourself the question, how should he do it? Because as you remember, I told you before, a simple command, a simple text like generate a text for a blog article, it is not sufficient for a precise response. Here, in this case, ChatGPT generates better responses, usually. So we have to specify it. And in this context, I do like to bring you a example from football, so soccer for those who are looking from America, because I have a background in football, so I like to use some examples from there. So here is the goal, right? The coach goes to the striker, to the attacker, and says, score 2 goals. This is the goal from part 1 of the magic formula. And now the coach, can specify the goal. He says to his attacker, score 2 goals. That's the task, or that's the goal he has to do. One with your right foot and one header. So the striker knows now exactly, because it's more specified, how he should score these goals. And Copilot reacts the same way. The more specific that you are in your prompt, the better will be the response for you. And here the question in the business context is, how can I specify my goal? And here, for example, here are also some examples. For example, if you want to do a PowerPoint presentation, you type in, do a PowerPoint presentation about topic X, but generate maximum 4 slides. Or generate me an explanation about topic Z or Z, but generate me 10 bullet points. Write me a blog article about Copilot, about Microsoft 365 Copilot, but just write 2 pages or 300 words. So here you are specifying the goal or the task the Copilot should do. That's the second part of the formula. Now we have the goal, we have the specification, and the third one is, in my opinion, the most important one. It's the context. I talked to you before in the beginning that Copilot cannot read minds and cannot form his own opinion. And that's why the context, or giving context in your prompt, is so important. And when writing the prompt, you ask yourself the question, what is it for, or what do I need it for? And here is that part that I already said. Context is very important. Copilot cannot read minds. And the question is, how do you do context? So you ask yourself 2 questions. You ask, for what do you need it, and who is involved? This is a little bit different to understand here in the theoretic part. I will show you these exact 2 questions, and how the output looks like in the examples, the prompt examples that I brought with me today. So these are the 2 questions when typing in context. The third one is the source. So here we have a lot of power, because Microsoft 365 is grounded in the Microsoft growth. So you can leverage all these sources within M365, be it a PowerPoint presentation, be it a Word document, be it a PDF file, be it a Excel sheet, and use these possibilities when prompting. And yeah, so you ask yourself the question, where should you get the information? So use this integration. Here are some tips, because Copilot reacts only to information that you make him available. Again, this is a similar topic with the context. Copilot cannot read minds. So if you don't give him the information needed or available, then the risk is high that he gives you responses that don't satisfy you, or that are out of context, or that don't contain every information that you expected. So the source, or giving in a source, is a great opportunity to give Copilot all information needed. You can do it in 2 ways, of course. You can separate it with a colon. And you can use the links from Teams SharePoint, or you do a slash, and it gives you already the last viewed documents that you have in the app that you are. So when you are doing a presentation in PowerPoint, you will only see Word documents and rolling out PDF documents. When you are in Word, you will only see PowerPoint presentations, for example. So that's the part of the source. And the last part of the formula, the fifth one, are your expectations. Now, what do I mean by that? You have to give Copilot an exact image of what you are looking for. So the more detailed your expectations, the better is the response of Copilot. And in my in my interactions with customers and other colleagues, I did see some prompts that were like one A4 page. So one whole page, just the prompt, because he needed or she needed something really, really complex. So you can do a very long prompt. And here you ask yourself the question, am I faster generating something manually? So doing it with clicks and everything manual, or am I faster by writing a prompt and giving and editing the response that you get from Copilot? This is always the question you ask for when using Copilot. And also here, you are free in your wording, so you have no like scheme or structure that you can follow because these are your expectations as individual that you are. So you are here free. The only thing that I want to stress out is that you are as specific and as precise as possible. And if you are not happy with the response that Copilot generated, if you're not happy with the presentation he generated or the text that he generated, don't do a new prompt. Concretize your expectations in following prompt. That's my advice to you. And now when we are looking at the whole one, this is the magic formula of prompting with Microsoft 365 Copilot. You put in a goal in form of a verb. You specify this goal. You give Copilot some context and you add a source of information. And also really, really important, describe and precise your expectations. That's in theory the formula. Now, as I said, I have with me some hands-on examples. So now you will see some prompts. If you'd like, you are very welcome to try these prompts out in PowerPoint, Outlook, and Word, just to see how the response is or what Copilot generates and if it suits your expectations. Now, the first prompt that I have for you ready is in PowerPoint. So we are talking here about Copilot in PowerPoint. Please generate a presentation. That's, according to the formula, the goal, the first part. With a maximum of 20 slides. This is the specification of the goal. For a Copilot implementation workshop in a Swiss SME with 250 employees. That's the context. Also, these brackets that you see here, you don't have to write them, of course. These are just for visualization purposes for today. So if anyone has the question about these brackets, ignore them. That's just for visualization. So here we have the context. Please use the Word file linked to a Word file. So if you have, for example, a I don't know, a textbook on or an agenda, how to conduct this workshop in Word, you can use it. In your prompts, when you're typing in prompts now, you don't need to use any Word files, but just here, this is the source, the information that you give Copilot. And the fifth, please generate a maximum of 4 bullet points per slide and apply graphics in order to visualize the text content better. So really easy. These are your expectations. So this is in 3 words, and this is what a good prompt looks like. Because as you see, we don't have just one sentence. The sentence could be, please generate a presentation for a Copilot implementation workshop, point. So here the prompt would end. This is one sentence that the marketing videos of Microsoft show you. And here you see that we have 1 sentence, 2 sentences, 3 sentences. And that's coherent with what I told you in the beginning. A good prompt usually contains 2 to 3 whole sentences. What you shouldn't do is a prompt like this. sales presentation for customer XYZ. Don't you do that. That's not a good prompt. Next up is a prompt in Outlook. Again, we start with a goal. And here, I'll give you some context. The idea is that you received an email from a customer complaining about something that went wrong. And I want to reply to this customer. Please reply to the email, that's the goal, in a professional and friendly tone, that's the specification, so that I can apologize to the person for the inconvenience caused. You give them the context of the email. Please use my tonality from my previous emails. This is the source. And here's something really, really important. That's in Outlook. Copilot in Outlook is trained to see or recognize your tonality, your form of writing in your previous emails. And that is also a source. So you don't need to add like a Word file or something like that. You can use the sources directly from Outlook, and you can leverage and use this knowledge that Copilot has. And now here we have some more detailed expectations, and assure that the customer or assure the customer that we will have an answer to the problem by this evening. Craft the email in such a way that the customer is reassured and remains positive about our cooperation. This is the expectations. So here I want to give Copilot the information about what I want to reach with this customer, what I want to gain, and I don't want to lose this customer. And that's why I want Copilot to give this this information, because yeah, for you, for the human mind, it's logical, but maybe for Copilot it isn't, even if it is intelligent. And that's why this is so important, because if you don't do these expectations, maybe the tonality of the email or the way it is written won't satisfy you in your expectations. And what you do, you go to ChatGPT and put in the same prompt, and you lost a lot of time. Again, here we have one, two, three, two. We have two sentences, but two long sentences. Again, a prompt is not just one sentence, so a prompt like that, write an email in which I apologize. That's bad. That's not a good prompt. Don't you dare do that. That's not how Copilot gives you a good response. And I can't stop to stress this out. So it's really, really important. I've got a third example for you, a prompt in Microsoft Word. Also here, I orient myself always at the formula. Generate, we have a verb, generate me a news article regarding the new entry of John Doe. So you've got a new employee starting this week in your company, and you want to give him a welcome in your intranet. That's the goal. Please write a friendly text with maximum of 2 pages. That's the specification. The article should be published in our intranet. This is the context. So if you don't give the context here, maybe it writes a personal message for you, and you are there sitting and thinking, oh my God, why are you writing a personal message? I want to publish it in the internet. That's why context is important. You can use the stuff sheet of John. If you have a stuff sheet in Word or Excel, for example, or a PDF document, use the stuff sheet as a source. Give John a warm welcome to the company and formulate the text in such a way that employees learn more about John and get a positive image of him. Again, a detailed expressions of your expectations towards the response of Copilot. Also this one, this is not a bad prompt at first glance. Write a news article to welcome John Doe to the company. But there is a lot missing, and therefore also such a sentence or such a prompt has the risk to not give you the required response that you need to get or to save time. What's the goal here using Copilot, right? So also that's a bad example of a prompt, even if it is a little bit longer, it doesn't contain the information Copilot needs. Good. I'm looking at the time, 12:27. That's all right. Let's go into some insider tips for you. Now, the more precise and detailed the prompt, the better the response. So I can't stress that out enough. Continue the conversation with Copilot. I mentioned it before. If the response is not satisfactory for you, don't use a new prompt. Continue the conversation with some follow-up prompts. Also know the limitations of Copilot in terms of sources, especially, and in terms of also prompt length. So you can do a prompt that is a page long, but you can't do a prompt that is 20 pages long. So here the limitations should be known. What I found out is something really good when I want to stress out something in my prompt. For example, when I do, I don't know, a blog article and I want to structure it. I use quotation and closing marks in the parts that I want to stress out for Copilot. So for example, I put in a prompt and write, generate me a blog article about M365 Copilot, structure it as followed. Quotation mark, introduction, closing mark, comma, quotation mark, overview about Copilot, closing marks, and so on. So I stressed it out, and I found out that this helps Copilot for its reasoning. Avoid typos, of course. So Copilot should be able to recognize typos, but I wouldn't be too sure about that. So if possible, avoid any type of typos in your prompt. And that has also been stressed out by Microsoft and also been confirmed by several studies is the friendliness. So you saw maybe you pointed that out in my prompts before. I often use the word please. So it is confirmed that Copilot gives you better responses when you are using friendly tone. You can imagine it like a coworker of yours. I don't believe that you are mean to your coworker, or that's the main point. And Copilot reacts the same way. So the more friendlier you are, you don't have to be over friendly, of course, but in a normal way, stay friendly. It gets you better responses from the M365 Copilot. Now, what also is very important to understand, Copilot, M365 Copilot is, of course, a technology. It is, of course, there is, of course, also a technical point of view. But as it is a new technology that works plug and play when licensing it, it becomes directly a human factor, or the human factor comes out, because of course the data must be ready. So we have to make sure that Copilot doesn't find things that it's not allowed to. But the leverage of a Copilot, the profits that you can gain in terms of saving time, for example, these lie especially in the people sitting before or in front of the computer and not in the technical part itself. And therefore, the adoption of Copilot, making your employees, your coworkers understand how it works, how you can leverage it, is really, really, really important. And here, prompting has a crucial role in driving adoption for Microsoft 365 Copilot. And what I want to give you today is a high-level strategy on how you can drive adoption in Microsoft 365. So the first thing I would do are identifying personas in your company which could benefit from a Copilot. So if you are working, for example, in I don't know, production industry, maybe your frontline workers who are standing at the machine every day aren't the best personas for M365 Copilot, but maybe your sales guys are good personas because they have to generate sales presentations, they have to generate offers, they have to adjust them very, very often. So here the first part is identify personas where Copilot would be of help. And the second part is you should identify the key activities they have. So where do they lose time? This is also the pain point. So for example, we have the sales guys again as a example. A key activity is they have to generate a sales presentation per customer. So not every customer has the same presentation. It is individualized. It has some different slides in it. For example, some slides are missing and so on. And instead of doing them or doing it manually as they did before, you could use Copilot for help. And so the key activity of generating slides, for example, or presentation, a pain point could be I'm not a graphic designer. I don't know which images I should use. I don't want to lose so much time by designing the page and things like that. So the PowerPoint presentation, everything like that, I lose a lot of time. It stresses me and so on. And when you address these pain points, you have the use case, a concrete use case where you say, okay, the Copilot for Microsoft 365 Copilot helps our sales persona generating faster and better sales presentations. That's the use case. And then when you have the use case, you develop the prompts according to the use case. And here the magic formula comes into play. So when you are generating prompts, you can orient yourself into or to the formula that I showed you. And of course, what's also a topic here is the whole knowledge. So if you are developing prompts, you develop the knowledge of this salesperson, for example, using Copilot. It would be bad when the salesperson would leave the company and takes the knowledge with him. So therefore, the prompts that you develop should be stored centrally in your organization, that other personas or other sales personas can use it, and that when you are onboarding a new salesperson, for example, he can leverage these information. So here you have like tools like the prompt buddy, or you can use, for example, a SharePoint list to store your prompts according to this developed use case. And therefore here the magic formula is so important, because when you have the use case and say, oh, okay, Copilot helps us, but you have no idea how to do it, you generate a lot of frustration, because even though you know that you have some pain points and you know that Copilot could help, but it doesn't really help because the prompts are wrong and the responses are not good, you wasted time here in this process before. So that's why the prompting formula and the development of prompts are so important, such a crucial factor. Yes, and now from my part, this would be it from the prompting formula. So thank you very much for having me here. You see my email, my LinkedIn. Please follow me. Reach out to me if you have any questions regarding the topic. And I'm very happy about your feedback, so you can rate my sessions. And please join also other sessions. We have a lot of top speakers today. Really, really great people that I know. And yeah, use your social hashtags and tag Metaverse One. I think it is really great community event, and please give your feedback. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you, Fabio. Really appreciate that. Fantastic presentation. Yeah, I mean, you put it together nicely, so hopefully it helps us to stick those techniques and obviously those tips and tricks. So yeah, great session. And I think, like you mentioned also, sometimes you got to try these things out because you may not get the response the first time. So definitely don't give up. Keep working at it because after all, the model is only going to get better based on what you do. So
Yes.
that's another thing that Copilot really relies on, isn't it?
Yeah, it is getting better, the model behind it, of course, but what we can't miss out is, or what we can't forget is those security and data privacy topics. These are underlying even when you watch the Copilot Wave 2 that was on Monday. This whole Copilot pages, Copilot agents, they come out of the box with the tenant-wide standards
Yeah,
of privacy and security, and that's what makes Copilot also so bulky. As I say. And yeah, even if the models are getting better, I think we have always this discrepancy between the bulk configuration of Copilot and the large language model that should improve the reasoning, the
yeah.
responses. So that's something.
Good, good. Well,
Mm,
I'm just looking through the chat there, Fabio, and I think you're getting some good
yeah,
comments and
I see. I
excellent
see.
session and lots of
Thank you.
thank yous and notes being taken as well. So, you did a great job. And yeah, I think just want to say thanks to all the attendees and also to yourself, Fabio, for giving up your time and effort. Not easy to put something like this together and take us through it. So, all the very best for you on this. And I'm sure we'll see another edition of this presentation elsewhere, and things will improve. So. Great. So in the meantime, for all the attendees, stay online, of course, and that this is where we have next sections coming up in about 20 minutes or something like that. So that's going to be a session on human impact of Copilot by Zoe Wilson. So stay online in this room 3. But in the meantime, I will say thank you one more time to Fabio and all the attendees. And also, it brings my end of this moderating session as well. So, my colleague will be joining soon to take over and take you through to the next set of sessions. So, until then, have a good day, everyone.
Bye bye. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Fabio. Bye bye.